Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we're going to talk about the 7 tips to a higher work environment. In other words, 7 ways to better morale in the workplace, 7 ways for top sales producing teams. This is the top 7 ways to create the ideal work environment. So we've talked about Team Icon in the past. We'll get to that more in a minute. But we got inspired by a Marijuana Venture magazine article that was titled "The Turnover is a Problem in Cannabis and Here's What It Costs You and How to Fix It." And so it brings up a couple of different reports, Leafly's 2020 jobs report, as well as the Revolving Door Factor, a headset report on Budtender turnover. Even Marijuana Business Daily kind of dives into it and talks about raises and the professional development needed to boost workers' morale. Team Icon is the 7 ways in order to create the ideal work environment. 2 of those 7 things that we left out are raises and promotions. So essentially, professional development is to get you that promotion or pay raise. So we've left those 2 out because if you follow the 7 tips for the ideal work environment, you're going to get paid. And promotion really won't matter. You know, if a small business, you can give them any title you want. As a corporation, you're going to get that title as long as the work environment allows for Team Icon. Before we get into the solution with Team Icon, we need to kind of lay out the problems with turnover. And you can see from the Leafly's 2020 jobs report, the legal cannabis industry was growing in leaps and bounds above any other industry in the U.S. in terms of job creation. The bad news was that there's an incredibly high turnover rate. This turnover rate is an issue for a lot of companies, creating hemorrhaging cash problems from labor and training costs while trying to improve that customer experience at the same time. And you're always having issues with retention. That can translate directly into decreased revenue. So according to the Leafly report, the cannabis industry added 33,700 legal jobs in the U.S. in 2019. That's a 15% increase over the previous year. That brings the total number of people employed in the industry to 243,700 across 33 states plus D.C. That's a 100% increase since the company began counting 4 years ago. The study projects a 250% increase in the legal cannabis job market between 2018 and 2028. That's a figure that's more than 4 times as high as the potential job growth than any other industry. The cannabis industry is learning the hard way, finding out that churning through people is a tremendous drain on revenue. So according to Headset's report from Washington and Colorado, it looks like in 2019, 44% were hired and left within the same year. Only 15% of employees that were with the company at the beginning of the year stayed until the next year. In fact, according to the report, almost 60% of entry-level cannabis employees left within their first 2 months on the job. And since it takes about 90 days before a new employee can begin adding any real value to the company, this puts a huge stress on the business to be constantly hiring and training new employee members who are unlikely to stay long enough to actually contribute to the company's bottom line. So here's an interesting point that according to the numbers, the vast majority of the employees actually left because of their bosses, not the workplace. In fact, 89% of the managers say that they believe their employees left for money, when in fact the employees cited a lack of appreciation as their reason for leaving the position. And appreciate is the third thing on Team Icon, is trust, empower, appreciate. We'll get to the rest in a minute. I want to show the median cost when you lose employees. The estimates by the Center for American Progress put the median cost of replacing an employee around 21% of their annual salary. According to data, employees want recognition for the contribution to your company even more than they want financial incentive and rewards. This means that the more hands-on management style can actually be all it takes to keep people on your team longer. Mentoring is the 4th thing. It's trust, empower, appreciate, mentor. But we'll get to the rest in a minute. Employees appear to actually crave negative feedback even more than positive feedback. So we see that there's a lot of turnover. We see that a lot of it has to do with leaving bosses and not managers. People want to be appreciated. Here's the 7 things that people really want outside of pay and promotion. They want to be trusted. They want to be empowered, appreciated, mentored, involved, challenged, and they want to feel like they're on a mission. If a business is able to implement Team Icon into an environment, they're going to be able to create a culture that is empowered. If you trust somebody, that's going to lead a team. You can lead by example and you can create this team that's going to be top talent, that's going to stick around long term and not turn over, that's going to develop a high morale, all of these things that you want for your company's culture, as well as for you to motivate, train, and drive your staff to not only be fulfilled, but to drive the business even more than you would. You want somebody who's essentially working like a business partner and not just an employee. Team Icon is the tool in which you can do that with. Trust is the first thing within Team Icon. You want to be able to trust your employees. Having said that, trust your employees implicitly, but also hold them accountable. You want to have audits. You want to make sure that things are done appropriately. And so trusting them doesn't mean that you're not going to hold them accountable. Those are two separate things. So you want to be able to trust them and let them know that there's trust involved. You want to create a culture to empower people. You want them to make those decisions and learn by those decisions, good or bad. And it's not a firing moment if they make that bad decision. That's how we learn. You need to empower your people to make decisions. I can't tell you how many times being on a podcast, I ask people their personal opinions and they say, nope, we can't talk. They don't feel empowered. And these aren't large corporations. I get it. Like if you're a corporation, you need to talk to their PR, the press team, whoever, but there's not a lot of empowerment anywhere. I see it in corporate America. I see it even in just small little groups and teams. If you empower your people, they will appreciate that a lot more and drive your team and your business even farther. Appreciation is the third thing. You need to be vocal. A lot of times, small business owners and entrepreneurs are really busy and they don't take the time to appreciate their people. Human beings want to feel appreciated. And so, if you listen to them, if you implement their ideas, that's going to have a huge return, or at least appreciating that open communication, appreciation, regardless of how it's done. It has to come across as genuine, but it also needs to be frequent as well. The two things we didn't cover is price and promotion. Mentoring is one of those things where people can feel like they're gaining in their career development without necessarily having a title behind that. They're going to follow their manager. I've seen that so many times in Seattle with tech where people will just follow a boss. If the boss leaves, they go to the next company with them. Same with finance to a certain degree. But I've seen it mostly in tech. Finding a good mentor is not easy. It's challenging just to find somebody who's willing to have that time. I think as a society, we've almost gotten out of mentoring somebody. It's incredibly important, though, to find somebody who um, that you look up to, somebody who has the same kind of work ethics and morals and standards that you have, who can teach you something. For any business that's willing to offer that type of mentoring, that's going above and beyond. Management died in the 80s. And really, it's not just about making sure that they're doing their job, but that they're enjoying it. And having that open conversation is going to create an incredible amount of morale that's necessary to take Team Icon to the next level. Getting your team involved is important. People want to feel like they're participating, that they're being involved, that their opinions are being listened to as well as implemented. And so anytime you can get them involved, they're feeling that they're a part of it. You don't want to just have somebody dig a ditch and then fill it back up. That type of work is not gratifying, and you're going to have people turning over and leaving. So getting people to give ideas about what they see, whether it's in the store or production or otherwise, having a session where you can have get people in a room, maybe it's after hours, and then you can get them involved with, best practices. If you look at Amazon, that's essentially how Amazon Air and the drone system and all these other things kind of came together, was to have this think tank. So everyone from Amazon would go to this offsite retreat about 90 minutes away from here, and it would be a week long, 3 or 4 days actually, and they would talk about all of these ideas and brainstorm. So that's a great way for a company to get people involved and find new products, new ideas, new innovations, increased efficiencies, and just team building and bonding. People want to feel challenged. They don't want to go to work necessarily and be bored. They want to have a challenge. And so that's kind of this whole part of if they have some kind of accountability and trust, that's a sense of pressure that they're going to put on themselves, that challenge. And as long as you're empowering them and appreciating them and challenging them, they're going to work for you harder than anybody else. Keeping people feeling like they're on a mission is really important, whether it's technology or medical, or just team building. People want to feel like they're a part of something. And being on a mission with the philanthropic, medicinal quality that cannabinoids and cannabis and hemp have to offer is the perfect vehicle in which to drive Team Icon. And so being on a mission is really just trying to increase market share and help as many patients and people as possible. So kind of pulling this all together, Team Icon is a tool which businesses can use to increase morale or increase cheeks and seats, which is the opposite of turnover, as well as driving, a high sales team. However you implement this, if it's successful, you're going to have the best work environment. You have to be able to trust your people and empower them, appreciate and mentor, get them involved, feeling challenged, and on a mission. How do you implement Team Icon? Let me know in the comments below. With that, we're going to roll this one up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is the Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.